Welcome to the Word Café Podcast. This podcast has been designed with curated content that centers on the power of words. Can we really do anything without speaking? Can we really do anything without the agency of words? Yes, that is what this podcast is all about. And I am your host, Amakri Isobwe, your neighborhood word trader. I believe in the power of words, for it is the unit of creation. I trade in words to profit my world. Oh, wonderful. Hello there. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good everything. Wherever you are on the globe at this wonderful moment. Welcome to the Word Café live show. And I am your host, Amakri Isobwe, your neighborhood word trader. Yes, you know how we do it here at the cafe. Yes, this is where we come in and share wonderful moments and stories and, experiences to learn from one another. Great. I'm so excited, yes, so excited, pumped up for this evening. I have a wonderful person with me in the studio. Yes, you're wondering, where is she? Where is he? Don't worry. I'll bring the person very soon. She has this wonderful and unique story that I think the world needs to hear. What's her name? Hilda Manyo DICKSON. I call her HMD. She's in the house. There's something about her that is so beautiful. She's a woman with many parts, but there's one that thrills me. Was that she likes finance management. That's her game. Oh, enough of all this. Let me bring her in. I know you want to see her. Yes, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Bam! There she is. Hello, Hilda.
Hello, Amakri.
Good evening and welcome. Welcome to the Word Café live show. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm good. I can see. I think you're working from home or you're smart working. What word do we use for that?
Working from home.
Well, that is what COVID has done to us. And my, you're welcome. So, how's it been for you? How's it been for you working from home? How's it been for you?
Oof. It started off like a welcome development, Then at some point it got a little bit tricky because it appeared there were no boundaries. So you could walk right through to the morning without even realizing that, hey, you should be catching, you should be resting or doing something. Yes. The bosses equally knew that we had it all. We had every equipment back at home. So they could call you at any time, Then, so at that point, we started wishing maybe we should be back at work, leaving our laptops, and having a life after work, but it's been up, down, but generally, I'll say we've settled into the new normal and we're fine.
New normal. And we're good. So before we take this journey, the next step, who is Hilda Manyo DICKSON? Who is she?
Okay. So Hilda Manyo DICKSON is the lady you see on the screen right now. Are you here talking to her? Yeah. Okay. So basically, I'm a finance professional. I've been in that field for about 23 years. I started off my career in the banking industry where I put in about 6 years before I moved into the oil and gas industry. Yes, I'm a chartered accountant, but I'm not the debit credit reporting type. Some people love financial accounting. I just love managing the money, right? So I'm very passionate about management accounting, reporting to senior management for, proper decision making and all of that. So that's how I'll say I earn my living, right? But on the other side, I'm very passionate about personal finances, and I would think it's probably certain experiences, that I went through, in life that got me. But I'm just so passionate. So based on that, I hinge on that passion to educate people generally on how to manage their finances, live life on their own terms, and all of that. More like cutting your coat according to not necessarily your size, but your material, just having people stay conscious about, living, balancing the contentment with the desire, and not just being blown away by everything or every distraction that comes around. So that's about me on the finance side. I'm married to a lovely gentleman. I have 3 children, and there have been several stories around me, and on the other side as well, I'm a certified John Maxwell speaker and coach. And I think I can call myself an author, right? Though my book isn't out there, right? Yeah, so let me just call myself an author. So that's me in a nutshell.
You are an authority because you have authored so many things, even if we've not seen them.
Yeah.
Now, looking at everything you've laid on the table, the cards you put on the table, you're somebody with so many sides, but you keep, when you were talking, you kept this, should I say, focus on personal finance. Is that a revelation you got in there? Would you want to share that with us, as in why personal finance?
Okay, so I started off life in a very, very cozy environment. My dad used to work in the oil and gas industry. So for those that are familiar with Port Harcourt, we used to live in Shell Camp, right? So everything, there was no shouting NEPA, we all had it all together. You had that
you were living in the European quarters of
you get so you had that false sense of security, everything, you really don't know what's happening out there. But down the road, at some point, my dad decided, you know what, I'm done with this. I want to start off my own business. So yes, he resigned, we moved on. Everything was still going on, also cool, leveraging on where we were coming from, doing well. Then sometime just about when I got into the university, in fact, the same year I got into the university, that same year, my mom and dad had some personal issues, and you know what, I just did not want to take sides, and I was like, hey, there has to be a way around this. While the adults are sorting out their own things, and at this time, I remember the government was owing my dad so much, so it was just, you just see things staring in your face, a couple of things just changing direction. And that was when I recall, I just went back memory lane, because as a secondary school student, each time I was on vacation, I was either learning how to sew or learning how to cook. I know now we do a lot of coding and stuff, but we were doing the hard work, right? So
the manual work.
The manual work, yeah. So when this happened, I decided, you know what? Why don't you just go back and develop one of those skills? I know the universities, they were so kind to us. There was an ASU strike 3 months straight. So rather than sit at home.
You call that kindness?
Well, in life, when you have to try really hard, but you just have to try to make the best out of the worst situation.
I agree.
Because
I agree. Yeah.
So with that, I went back into sewing, and I realized then that, hey, many people loved t-shirts, right? But they couldn't afford t-shirts, especially, I know now almost everybody travels out of the country, but I would still not say almost everybody, if you know where I'm coming from. But then so many people desired it, but they didn't have it. And it was one of the easiest things to make. All I just did was start my own designs there. And before I knew it, orders were coming. People would order, oh, I need a dozen in my shop. So it just gave me that, I could easily fill in that gap take care of myself, So at that age, right there, I was already making enough money to sustain myself. I didn't need to ask anybody for money to go to school, So I was just so passionate about it. So getting older, having friends, life happens to them. Maybe they lose a loved one, they're sick, or, marital issues between the husband and the wife. You see people looking also helpless, or, some people are just coming out of the university, there are no jobs. You just find them stressed out. So I guess I was more like, maybe because of the experiences I had earlier on, I was drawn towards such cases. I was just so interested in educating people, empowering them, trying to let them know, because I realized a lot of people go through a lot. They want to wear the designers, they want to live the life, they want to actually just dress up to please people. Meanwhile, behind all of that, they are going through a lot. So I guess it was just that cry from within, based on my own experiences, that I was just so drawn to that topic, and I just keep on sharing whenever I have an opportunity to just encourage people to say, yes, you can still live life on your own terms, just with a little discipline, consistency here and there. So that's probably why the personal finances was stressed out there.
I can imagine. There's nothing like dictating things as in your terms. I can wake up when I want to wake up. I can do this when I want to do this. But the truth is, all of this, I can do this, largely is dependent on what is in your pocket. As in, do you have that money? Do you have that finance, or do you have that capital? Do you have that resource to live that life on your terms? And the truth is, from what you just said now, you discovered it early. And so it means we need to discover things early. Discovering early puts you on that path, and wow. Now you're in the oil and gas. What has it been like? Because, your field, correct me if I'm wrong, is male dominated, because, you have a lot of men and what have you. So, how have you been dealing with this?
Oh, it's been an interesting journey. First is to desire something. The second thing is to really, when you desire something, you need to love what you're doing. A lot of times we get into, we just desire something, not necessarily knowing what is behind it or why we desire it. So when we go there, we set some expectations for ourselves. And when we can't meet up with those expectations, or when the organization does not satisfy our personal expectations, we could easily get disgruntled, right? So when it comes to oil and gas, I desired it.
Right.
When I went back to Port Harcourt for my youth service, the only reason why I went back there was because I really wanted to work in the oil and gas industry. It just wasn't working. Several trials and error, I just wasn't getting it right. So I started off with banking. And so banking gave me that foundation. It was a tough place in the sense that I was in operations. Then the internet, was so epileptic. The networks, we were using the satellites at some point. So most time, at about 4-5 p.m. work starts. And we're running till pretty late. At times we're on till about 11 p.m. So I would say I had built the resilience already from the banking industry. And since it was a good training ground for me. So coming from the banking industry into the oil industry, it was easier for me to manage my expectations. So it was more like I was being delivered. Do you understand? So when I got into the oil industry and I saw all the, the different, what would I call it? I don't want to use politics. Yeah, organizational politics.
Call it,
I should call it what it is, right?
Yeah. Don't give it another name.
So when I saw all of that, I was like, well, this is not going to define me. I already know who I am. I've already set the top targets, the high targets for myself. So all I need to do is play it out. And over time, it would yield some good results, right? So in the first year, because when you get into the oil industry, it's more or less like, because it was being looked at as a new field, for us at the time we came in, it was being looked at as a new field, so your banking years were more or less discounted and you were starting from scratch. So that hurt a little bit. So when you look around and you see people that probably just dropped out of school, or just graduated, and you're all placed at the same level, you're like, was this a good move? But then again, because I desired it, I had to look at the positive aspects. I had to look at the fact that I had more time to myself. I had more money in my pockets. I could balance my life, a little bit better. So I just chose to focus on that. And it wasn't easy initially, I must say, because each time you worked so hard, you expected to get the recognition. But it wasn't forthcoming, but it didn't deter me. I just kept on staying consistent, trying to be as excellent as I could possibly be. And at that time, I would always tell people I'm working unto God. Yeah. So it took a while, but eventually it all paid off because people could see the consistency, bosses could see the deliverables, people could begin to appreciate the qualities and what you were bringing to the table. So I never bothered going into it's a man's world, it's a woman's world. I just decided behind me, I had to let myself know that, hey, it's a fair ground. We're all going there to go play. So let's go and give it our best shot. And somehow, of course, you can never discount the grace of God and his favor. He'll always send people at the right time. Because, then whenever I prayed, I would always say, that he raises kings that will speak on my behalf. So at times you are not there, but someone recognizes what you have done. Someone recognizes the quality in what you do, and they speak up for you. And gradually, the petals kept opening and opening and opening. And today, I'll say, I'm doing well.
You're better.
Even if I say
listening to you, just like you were not focused on the gender. You are only focused on the agenda. It's like you call me a woman. That's your case. But listen, I know where I'm going, and I'm focused. I'm not going to be deterred. I'm going to be consistent, as in just keep putting in that stuff that I know. And eventually, like you said, the grace of God comes in there, and voila, you have everything, coming together. Awesome. Now I know, in course of your introduction, you said something about being an author. Anytime I hear people, say I'm an author, it's like, wow, she's an authority or he's an authority, because for you to be an author, then you are an authority in something. So, what have you authored? Let's hear that.
Okay, let me ask you to guess. What would you think I have authored if you had to guess with all our discussions?
You've authored a book, I guess. It's a book.
On what topic?
Maybe something that has to do with your personal experience, not necessarily on finance now.
Okay. I wanted to be sure. You are not expecting a finance term.
Nah,
okay.
No.
Yes. Okay, so basically, just a peek, we do the peekaboo, right? So basically, when I got married, I waited about 5 years to have my first child. And right after having that child, and, we're all so excited, hey, you carry the baby, you do everything you need to do. The child turned 21 months and was diagnosed with cancer, stage 4. And that was another life happens. It wasn't now all about finances. It was now about a life's battle, right? So we went all around. We tried to walk around here a little bit here in Nigeria to actually get the diagnosis. That wasn't just forthcoming. So we took a step out, went out of the country, and behold, that was when we knew that yes, we were dealing with something bigger than what we had. And while going through that journey, it was so difficult to get some form of good news. It was all gloom, gloom, gloom. And even when I tried to join a support group, it gave me nightmares because the reports I got from the support group, maybe each time you hear, oh, an angel. So what that means is that child has gone. So I had to actually take myself off that group because I went in there with a lot of faith, trusting God, because even if I backtrack a little bit, when I had my daughter, just before I even took in for my daughter, the doctor had told us it was impossible to have a child naturally. So when, without any assistance whatsoever, I was able to take in, I was like, wow. So when the baby eventually came and I was asked to name the baby because my husband gave her first name, I was to choose the second name. I chose Onsuyemie. And what that name means is a Ghanaian name which I borrowed from my sister-in-law. It means nothing is impossible with God. So I picked up that name. And I ran with Onsuyemie, and I have been running with Onsuyemie. So back to the hospital, I had to tell everyone, you know what? Please call her Onsuyemie. Of course, they couldn't pronounce her name, so they said, okay, they needed a short form. I said, call her Onsu. So each time they called Onsu, I go Onsuyemie, more or less declaring that nothing is impossible with God. So when I got into the support group, it more or less tried to mess with my faith. I couldn't sleep. I was having nightmares. Yeah, because it was now death, relapse, death. Oh, wow. So it was at that point I made a vow to God. I said, if you could take me through this journey and bring me out on the other side victorious, which I know you would do and which I know you can always do, then I would write a book to share the story and encourage that person out there that might equally be looking for hope, inspiration, encouragement, and light even in that darkest situation. So that was what sent me into the authoring mode, the authority mode. So yes, my book is really about the trials of infertility and my journey with my daughter as she battled childhood cancer.
There's something so wonderful with your story. Looking at it from the personal finance to this very moment, declaring that word. It's like you just had this experience from the very beginning about who God is to you. And there's nothing you will tell me that will change who God is to me. Not minding the challenges I'm facing today or whatever. I know who He is to me. So it's like, whose report will you believe? So please, don't tell me otherwise. I will believe in Him. With Him, nothing is impossible. Awesome story. Awesome story. I can relate with that very well because growing up, I've said this over and over again. Those people who grew up around me, they know there's something similar to your story. When I was born whole, my legs, everything. But children for who they are. We play around and all that. And I got myself injured. And I hid it from my mom and my parents. I didn't tell them. And, it became cancerous. And when my mom discovered it, or my parents, and they were like, what happened? Children, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But finally, when I told my mom what happened, and we started going to the hospital and checking up and what have you, and they said, well, there's nothing we can do. His leg will be amputated. And my mom was like, ampu what? They said, cut off. She said, no, not my son. I said, not my son. When I gave back to him, he didn't tell me, God didn't tell me he will have this. It will be amputated. No. So, and they just like, oh, madam, that. She said, no. And she started praying. That was all she knew to do. As in, my mom is late, she's asleep, So she kept praying, yes, applying medicine here and there. But at that age, I can still remember her prayers vividly. I could, I can feel it each time I go back there. So your story just took me back there now. And today, I'm walking with my two legs because one woman said, I don't know what you are talking about. God did not tell me this. This is what he told me. Please take that again for me. I'm sure
if a Ghanaian heard, you'll say, hey, don't bother her name.
Hey, don't bother her name. Wonderful. So when are we expecting this book? When are we expecting it?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, nerds. Come listen to the History Nerds United podcast, and let's make history fun again. We interview today's best authors, whether they are established Pulitzer Prize winners or someone debuting their first book. Let us show you that history is not a boring class you took in high school, but a place where the best stories come from. And we don't just cover history. We also love to chat about true crime, biographies, memoirs, and so much more. So head on over to History Nerds United and let us introduce you to your new favorite book and learn the story behind the story.
History Nerds United.
Okay, one thing for certain is we're looking at launching the book, at least having the pre-launch and the webinars as well by in September. So September 12th, the child involved would actually be turning 15. So as a way of giving back as well to God, we must do something on that day. So it's either we're going to have the pre-launch or the pre-order starts on that day. So awesome. Yes, September. Yeah.
Guys, we've been talking with Hilda Manyo DICKSON, HMD, as I call her. Yes. Having no dull moments with her. Now, there's something you need to tell us. The first time I heard HMD speak, she presented this awesome speech. I was blown away. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Where did you learn how to construct like that? Please, you need to tell us. Where did you learn to do that?
Let me start by saying, oh, thank you. Yeah, but okay. So somehow, right? I've always, even as a young child, I always struggled. We had a show then, Junior Opinion, Children's Variety. So every morning I wanted to be there, at NTA, the national television, yes. I wanted to be there, to be picked up, to do something, right?
Yeah.
So each morning I would just, and it wasn't easy to get picked. I would always harass my parents. So you want to be picked, so you want to practice, you just want to speak. So it's something I've always desired. And growing up, up until recently, I would always, each time I have an opportunity to speak, especially on just encouraging people, finances and all of that is an opportunity I take. And people will always say, you speak well. But I still felt there could be something around speaking. Okay, so when I did my John Maxwell certification program, I decided to start off even with the speaking route, just to know, okay, are there a couple of things there that I might be missing out on? So I had an accountability partner as well. We were checking ourselves. What are you doing? She was doing the coaching first. I started off with the speaking. So she went on as well to say, hey, there's another speaking program you need to attend, Speak for Gold by Mr. Fela Durotoye. And I was like, okay, really? So I was like, what's that about? She sent me a flyer, stuff like that. I said, okay, I'll just have it. I'll start following him. I'll know when the next one is holding. And basically the Speak for Gold came, and I now had that opportunity again. I was just called up that morning to say, you know what? You'll take the graduation speech. And I wanted to say, no notice. Then I now, something inside me said, what do you mean? Go try it out. And here you are giving me a very good feedback. So thank you.
I wish I can play that speech for the audience and let them listen. She gave, I don't know, what's the word now? A power-packed. Was it 5 minutes? Power-packed.
Not even.
Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody on the platform that day was like, who is this lady? Who is this lady? And
here she is. Thankful.
Yes. HMD, I am so proud of you and happy for you.
Thank you so very much.
Seeing your resilience, through this period, and look at everything. Look at everything around. You are an inspiration, not just to your nuclear family now, I know, to a larger community, and all that. So before I let you go, any last word for the audience?
I'll just like to put something out there, life would always throw you trials, so would always have, the ups, the downs. While you're up, don't think you'll stay up forever. When you're down, equally know that you wouldn't stay down forever. But what I would always tell people is when trials come your way, let them spur you to action. Don't get distracted. There's a lesson in every trial. And though it might not be so glaring, you might not even be able to find any lesson while you are in it.
Yeah.
But if you really, really, really know the God you serve, and you know that the plans He has for you are always for good, I'll say, look for that thing. When the cloud is so dark, when you look closely, you can still find a line. Hold on to that thing. Just look for that positive thing. Hold on to it. Rough it. Go through that path. You can be rest assured you'll come out better for it. So that's what I want to leave everyone with. Don't let the trial sink you. Take it as a stepping stone to where you're headed. His plans are always for good.
Awesome. Don't let the trial sink you. Take it as a stepping stone. Wonderful. Those are the words of Hilda Manyo DICKSON. People we've been discussing with her. Can you imagine? Look at the time. We've been having fun, honestly, but I have to let her go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence at the Word Café. It means a lot to us. Hope you will answer us when we call again. Guys, we have to go now.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I really do appreciate it. And yes, I will answer whatever you call. Thank you.
All right, guys, we have to go now. Yes, this is your neighborhood word trader, Amakri Isoboye. I believe in the power of words. Why? It is the unit of creation. Till I come your way again, bye for now.
Awesome time it has been with you on the Word Café Podcast today. Thank you for being there. You can catch me up on my social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all at Amakri Isoboye. Also, you can get copies of my books, A Cocktail of Words, The Color of Words, and my HR notebook on Amazon and on Roving Heights online bookstores. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page at the same address. Yes, till we see again. Bye for now.